Delighted to announce some new contracts for 4 of our academy graduates. I mean, you must be really delighted to tie down Matt J, Josh Key, Cheick Diabate, and Harry Kite.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we'll start with Josh Key. His breakthrough season in the first team, and he's been one of our standout performers. Certainly when he's held that position at right back for the large majority of the season, he's been excellent, and he deserved that new contract. And it also gives the club a bit of security, gives the player a bit of stability, and it's one he deserved. And hopefully that was reflected in him, his intention to sign that contract and commit his long-term future with a football club. What a great lad! A great reflection on his family in terms of the roots of where he's come from. Second to none in terms of his attitude and his character out on a training pitch, and he really cares about the club. Another success story from the academy, and someone who will go on to have a really good career, hopefully with ourselves for a certain amount of time, and then we could well see him move on in the future.
Matt J?
Matt J, yeah. MJ, he's in the form of his life, isn't he, really? His season, he's basically kept his shirt and made that position his own. I think he's in double figures already. At the halfway stage, if he ends up with the same goal return, then he'll be pushing 20 goals, which is incredible for an attacking midfielder, a player who plays off the front man. But we saw a real change in MJ during the first lockdown. So cast your mind back to March, and you learn the most about each and every individual player when they're training on their own, if that makes sense. So weren't able to access the players for a number of weeks, if not a couple of months. And MJ came back as fit as he's ever been. He lost a little bit of muscle and was a little bit leaner and was moving a lot better. And he's just added that physical presence. Sounds strange, a physical presence for such a small lad, but his physical attributes in terms of his running output and his sprint distance and the amount of accelerations and decelerations he's doing, he's added that to his game. And technically, he's always been a top player and always been our best finisher at the football club. And then you've got almost a complete player. I still think there's more to come from MJ. Because I still think he's gaining a better understanding of what's needed in the position he's playing, but also what the team needs from him, and that's a constant output. And like I say, if there's a chance in the box, you kind of want it to fall to MJ. And generally, a lot of our chances have fallen to MJ this season, hence his goal record. So really pleased we tied him down. I've got to be honest with you that there was interest, and rightly so, on the back of what he's done so far this season. But another academy graduate who's committed his future to the club.
And Harry Kite, he's had a fairly good season, a couple of goals in the trophy.
Yeah, still to this day, we don't know if he meant that left foot goal at Swindon, but it looked a good goal at the time. Look, he's going to play. He might not feature every minute of every game for the remainder of this season, but he'll get an opportunity. And he's a player we're earmarking for the future. Such a strong boy for his age. Physically dominates the middle of the pitch, and one we're excited about building a team around. And similar to the previous boys, we're delighted he's committed his future for the club. I know he's settled in the area. I know he's desperate to get more game time. And he's falling in between the lines at the moment where he's sort of either on the bench or 19th man within our first team squad. But with so many games in quick succession, he'll continue to get more and more opportunities. And he's just got to keep believing it and then take those opportunities when it comes. Anytime he's been on the pitch this season, he's performed pretty well. You cast your mind back to, I think it was the Portsmouth semi-final, which ended in heartbreak last season. But he showed his true colours on that night and showed his quality as well. And like I say, a player we're really excited about working with.
And Cheick, I guess, is one for the future.
Yeah, look, I don't think many of our supporters will have seen too much of Cheick. He came on, I think it was one of the leasing games at home late on. What a fantastic physical profile. So he's got to base his game on that physicality first and foremost. And we're trying to teach him the arts of defending and what's needed from his character and his attitude at centre-half and what we'll expect from him moving forward. But when you've got something to hold on to like his physicality, then you've got a starting point, and certainly as a centre half, where you rely on that physicality first and foremost, and he's mobile with it as well. So he's not just strong, but he can move, and that's an exciting prospect as a defender. We saw it with Jordan Story a couple of years ago when you've got a good physical frame and you can sprint as well. That's half the battle in that position. And now we've got to teach him the art of defending, positionally wise, but also execution in certain moments. And it'll be raw for a number of seasons. And unfortunately, he's probably missed a bit of game time this season due to the loan moves he's had, those games not being played. And that can be the same said about a large amount of those players, certainly our young players who aren't quite close enough to the first team. They've missed out on probably a best part of a season of their development by not playing games, which is a real shame. So they'll be playing catch-ups as soon as those games are played, and whether it's back out at Tiverton or Truro or any of these non-league teams, respectively, they'll be learning the trade whilst playing men's football. But Cheick is one where, you look 2-3 years down the line, you're excited to see what he'll become.